Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Jonathan. How are you today?
Well, I am good. I'm great. Welcome, everyone, and good morning. I'm good. How are you? How are you, Dirk?
I'm pretty great. You know, it's weekend. On the one hand, I'm kind of sad because parts of the markets are going to be closed for 2 days.
Yeah,
But on the other hand, the beauty of this, of course, since we're talking about cryptocurrencies here, about trading crypto, that beauty of the market is open 365 days a year, which is
that's right.
something my wife doesn't like at all sometimes.
No, but I definitely understand what you're saying. With with the weekend coming up, and it's like it's crazy. I mean, I love what I'm doing so much that
Yeah.
when it's Friday, I'm like, I start thinking about Monday, and
Yeah.
it's so crazy. And I know, you've been trading for over 25 years and you're saying the same thing, which means that you have to really love trading to do this.
But that's with everything, you know. I mean, if you become like a professional athlete, runner, golfer, tennis player, whatever, at a certain point, you really have to be, yeah, almost addicted to what you're doing. I think it's not passion. It's like one further step than passion is, in my opinion. You know, in order to be able to try to go onto another level and then onto another level to become kind of the best that you can be, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, guys, going forward. So, first of all, you might have noticed we've pushed this stream a little bit further into the morning, 10 a.m. I think that helps us, you know, to get more out of the day. Going forward, we would like to discuss here on a weekly basis what our two indicators were doing during the past week. So, the two indicators, of course, are for Jonathan the RLZ Slingshot indicator. And for me, the market equilibrium indicator. You'll find links to both indicators, of course, in the description of this video. For mine, I still have a running beta test for another week until August 31st, where you can try it out completely for free. So check it out. Time is running out. I just this morning, yesterday evening, I received a really cool message. Somebody sharing their profit and loss screens with me, really. Everything he's traded so far with the indicator, and asked me like, hey, what can I do better? And I said, you're doing amazing already. I mean, you had a high success rate. You kept your losses small. So if you continue like this, you know, there's nothing that can stop you really if you don't mess up your risk management. Then somebody this morning texting me like, "Oh wow, this is so great, Dirk. Can you continue the free trial, please?" Which at one point, of course, I have to stop the free trial, but I understand, of course, where you're coming from. So yeah. If you allow me, maybe I'll quickly jump over the trading positions last week. Then I'll hand over to you, and maybe by the end we can talk a little bit about Bitcoin, although I don't think so much has changed from a technical standpoint since last week, but nonetheless, a quick reminder there. If you
Before we go into that, I just want to mention that we're currently live on two different YouTube channels. We're live on RLZ Trading and then Dirk's channel as well. So we're trying something new here. This is something that I personally have done before, doing the same stream on two different channels. But just so you know that the main live stream we've always had on Dirk's channel, but now I'm copying the live stream, basically putting it on my channel. So yeah.
But going forward, we can like also, you know, alternate always, I think.
Yeah,
You know?
so that's the thing, you know, we're doing this together. We got our two indicators. It's going to be really cool here. We have two different indicators with two different approaches. You know, I got my RLZ Slingshot, which is a trend following indicator, right? And Dirk has his market equilibrium indicator, which is more of a
contrarian indicator.
Yeah, I would say it's really good in range. It's really good in ranges, especially low time frame ranges. I've been looking at that, and it's really good. Very impressed.
And well, thank you first of all, and yeah, let me show you really like what is meant here by when we talk about lower time ranges. That's the wrong chart. I want the one with the signals. So I'm going to start here with Bitcoin and the signals from last week of the market equilibrium, or short MEI indicator. And I think it's safe to say here those signals were really, really spot on. It had a little bit of difficulty a couple of weeks ago when we were in this downtrend to really catch the market. Eventually, markets turned around. But since we have gotten into this, more, short relatively low volatile sideways range for the past really 2 weeks or already. I think the signals have been pretty much spot on since last week. 1, 2, 3, 4. I count these signals here as one, of course, 5, 6 signals, and all pretty much really bang on. I mean, in this case, you really could have had the strategy here to buy, go long when a long signal appears, and go short when a sell signal appears. So kind of an always in the market kind of strategy. I don't do that, as you guys know, because I like to align those trades always with support and resistance. And you can see here very well, or for example, on this signal, or even on this one, the first to sell signal. Why I do this? Because my natural take profit for a trade like this would have been the lower boundaries of this channel. And these two signals were just too close already. So the potential profit in comparison to what I would have needed to risk here was just too high to justify the trades. Nonetheless, of course, they worked out. But something like this, of course, always easy to say in a hindsight. So for Bitcoin, I'm trading it on 15 minutes. And because you always have to take into account that you are paying still, of course, commission and fees to the exchange you are using. And usually you pay something like 0.06 or 0.05. Some exchanges a little bit higher. So you have to take that into account, that you have like $70 to $80 on a Bitcoin move already, that Bitcoin needs to move into the right direction in order to just break even with your trade and not make any losses. This is why I don't trade this like on the 5-minute or on the 2-minute chart like I trade others. For example, Ripple here on the 2-minute chart had a little bit of a difficult phase here earlier this week, but since then also pretty much spot on. Really, really nice signals, in my opinion, a little bit on autopilot. Most of the signals also appearing really in nice areas here. Not all of them like super easy. This one went quite into loss before reach the potential take profit I have. I said here, you know, my strategy, my risk managed strategy is here always to not have a fixed stop loss per position, but have a global stop loss for the day. Meaning, if I'm a loss by 3 or maximum 5%, that always depends on the general volatility of the market that day, I'm going to completely stop trading for that day. So far, that hasn't occurred. But it's just a matter of time until that happens. You know, this is something you need to take into equation. This is my approach. If you like to work with a fixed stop loss, that's fine too. You know, you have to be a little bit on the mental side prepared then that you're going to get more false signals. I had somebody writing about this to me, said like, oh, you know, the signals are so great, but somehow I always get stopped out very fast. I said, okay, I think your stop loss is a little bit too close. You know, you either have to be very picky then about the signals if you want to work with a positive R, meaning a risk reward higher than 1, like 2 to 1 or 1 to 2 in this case. Then you need to be very, very picky, which is okay. If you want to trade more signals, you need to adjust your risk over the position size, in my opinion, a little bit, because this gentleman was also right. Oh, I'm trading with 1 to 20 leverage, which, by the way, is too high, in my opinion, at least. You risking really being just with one trade being kicked out of the market if you're not very, very disciplined about your risk management strategy there. Yeah, next one I'm trading is Dogecoin, which has a little bit of trouble here. I mean, technically, you got out of these signals, went in the right direction. These signals I'm currently in here because, again, like the one we saw earlier here on yesterday evening, no, 2 days ago, sorry, which were really nice at the zone of resistance here, at the horizontal zone of resistance. We had this 2. I'm pretty confident that we're going to test here the lower parts, maybe here 0.106650, something like this, pretty confident. The best signal of the week also here was on Doge. I mean, look at this one, like buy signal really on the spot. And then at exactly the high point, you got the sell signals. Doesn't get better than this. I don't like to talk so much though about stuff like this because also with my indicator, these are exceptions, of course. You know, you get signals like this sometimes, but then the question, of course, is also if are you exiting the trade already here, or are you really holding on all the way up here until you get the next sell signal? And if you did so, if you do this buy or sell and hold strategy, you accumulated quite a lot of short positions here already. No, this is why I mean always keep your position size a little bit lower on the lower end if you want to trade like this. It's possible for sure, but it's like, how to say it, mentally more straining. Because often you'll end up with, my position already nicely in profit. When it goes against me again, I have to add to the position. And then you ask yourself all those could have, should have, would have kind of questions. Oh, I should have exited. I should have done this, or I should have done that, which in my opinion always is a very dangerous thing to do. Yeah, I'm also trading Popcat, which had a series of really not good signals. I have to put it like this. Currently calming down, showing better results again. However, I discussed this also on the Telegram channel a bit. I'm really thinking of replacing this coin because being a meme coin, I mean, okay, Doge is a meme coin too, but it's more established. But being a meme coin, it's more prone to pump and dump schemes. Something I notice here very often, not very often, but from time to time, is really that you get those massive pumps where somebody throws tons of liquidity into these coins to the upside and then dumps to the downside. So I'm thinking of replacing this a bit. I had a discussion with one of the users who's trading this successfully on AVAX, for example, and on ADA, Cardano. So I'm trying out those at the moment. If I change something there, I will, of course, notify you guys also on the Telegram channel and here on the live stream next week. But still a bit in the testing phase where if that really is a replacement, or if I maybe just need to switch Popcat to higher time frame, like to 5 minutes or maybe 15 minutes to kind of get rid of the noise of the market, if you know what I mean. Yeah, like I said, currently still in the beta test here. So if you want to try out this indicator, you'll find this Google form, a link to this Google form in the description of this video. I just need your email, your TradingView username, and that you understand that although this indicator works very well, of course, it's no 100% holy grail solution that will make you magically a millionaire overnight or over the course of a week. And yeah, you can see so far 126 people are beta testing this. Beats really every expectation I had in this beta test. So thank you again if you are already a beta tester. And yeah, 1 week to go until August 31st. And then this will become not an open beta test anymore. Don't know yet completely what I'm going to do then, but let's see when I'm going to make an announcement in due time. Yeah, that's it. Like in a short recap for my indicator from my side for this week. I'll just hand over to you, Jonathan.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. First of all, I've looked at the market equilibrium indicator on Bitcoin on the 50-minute, and I really like those signals. And I think what we have here, and the reason why we're doing this together and showcasing these indicators is also, one of the reasons is that because they have completely different type of trading styles and they complement each other very well. Because some people really like to trade with just horizontal levels and in range, and then the market equilibrium indicator is perfect for that. Just buying the highs, selling the highs and buying the lows. And then the slingshot indicator that I'm going to show you now is a trend following indicator. It's based on following a trend, and which is, I wouldn't say completely different, but it's definitely a different approach. So having a choice here between which one to go with based on your trading style, or also having two different approaches, is obviously something that I think is very exciting for me as a trader to have in my toolbox, to have the ability to look at two different signals basically with two different systems. So the slingshot indicator is a trend following, highly customizable indicator. So it's based on the trading system that I've developed throughout the years called the RLZ method. Now, what is the RLZ? The RLZ is short for reload zones. If you put on the fib here, you'll see that there's an area within fibs that is the area between the 0.618 and the 0.786. That's the reload zone. That's the RLZ. So RLZ method is basically based on the fact that you have a trending market. So the market goes up. Oh, it's a black line. I need to change that to
Black
white.
on black.
So it's a trend here, okay? and then price comes down and bounces inside the reload zone. Hence the RLZ method. We want to look for buys inside the reload zone. Now, if you're an ICT trader, you might call this the OTE, the optimal entry area. Now, of course, I developed this before even knowing what ICT was, so it doesn't really matter. But if you're an ICT trader and you know what OTE is, then RLZ is I think a similar area to OTE. And then we are looking for specific entry triggers when price hits the reload zone. And throughout the years, I've tested a lot of different indicators, candlestick patterns that would tell me that there's a probability of this bounce being the low, basically a new higher low in an uptrend. And of course, it works in a short as well. So I'm not going to go into exact detail on what these signals are based on, but it's basically the foundation is price comes down and hits the reload zone. You can optimize within this indicator. It's highly optimizable. So you can even optimize what you look at with the RLZ area. So here it says RLZ area. And that's the area where all the signals will be executed from. So if every enter trigger aligns within this area, so in this case, I've selected this 0.5 because I need, and that's not really the RLZ, but you can optimize this. The RLZ is again from the 0.618 to the 0.786. But I've decided to include the 50% fib here as well to give me some more room for error. And I have an example here of a trade setup that worked out beautifully on that. So you can see here that the lines on the indicator is the EMAs. So the cloud here is basically the EMA. So the whole idea is that we have different indicators that needs to align within the reload zone. And if everything aligns within the reload zone, and this is a combination of many different indicators. So it's 3 different EMAs. You have the Fibonacci tool, you have ADX, and you have candlestick formations, and you have stochastics RSI. And I believe there's ATR involved into the calculations of this as well. So there's many different indicators that goes into one of these signals right here. And as you can see, you can optimize the length of EMA 1, 2, and 3. I have it on 20, 50, and 51. And also with the purchase of this indicator, you will get a complete course on exactly how to use the indicator. We can select if you want to, it's going to be based on basically the local time frame that you're watching. Okay, so you have a local time frame that you're watching, and then you can decide to only show signals if it's confluent with the higher time frame. So here I have the 1 hour time frame that I'm watching for the signal, and I've selected the daily. So as long as the daily 20 is bullish, basically going up. If the daily 20 EMA goes up, then only long signals will appear, never any short signals. So we make sure that the signals are in conflict with the higher time frame trend. And by selecting this use high time frame trend, that's when the signals will be based on the higher time frame. So if you only want to trade the local time frame, you just untick this one. If you don't care about the higher time frames, untick that one. And then also I have one which says signals only above or below high time frame EMA, which means that if price is above the daily 20, if I select these, the signals will only, there will only be long signals above the, in this case, daily 20 EMA, and never a long signal if price is below that EMA. So as you can see, just here, very highly customizable. So you can see here I have a short signal. Now, if I select this, you will see that that short signal disappears because it means that price here is above the daily 20 EMA. And in this case, there's never going to be a short signal above the daily 20 EMA. And then you can also show stop loss and TP levels, which is a really cool feature here. And you will also get the average risk to reward of the trade setup based on the stop loss and the TPs. If you go into show stop loss and TPs, we have different TP levels based on the fibs. Okay, so you can select TP1. I can select TP1 at the zero fib. And then, so you see here, now the indicator should reload and the fib should be, the TP1 should be placed up here. So now TP1 is up here. That's going to be TP1. Then you might want to do this, right? Where, let me see if I can add all of this. So this is the fib. Then I'm going to be selecting this one right here to show you where the extension fibs are. So let's say you want TP1, and then you want 1 TP on each of these levels all the way up to the minus 0.618. So we can go in here, we can select TP2 is going to be at the minus 22 because we want to front run that a little bit. TP3 right below the 0.382. And then TP4 front running the minus 0.618. So this will now load, and it will now add 3 more TPs, which means that you can average out of this position, and it will also change the average R of this setup. Here you have 2 different average Rs. One is if you mark it by on the candle close of the signal. So the average R of this trade setup, if you mark it enter on the candle close, will be 2.8. But then if you enter on the 0.5 fib, which in this case is not recommended, but then you have a 14R. But obviously in this case, not recommended because of the way the structure is looking right here. So there's so many ways you can optimize this right here. I also have an option where it says use FTA as TP1, and the indicator will then calculate where is the first trouble area. And I believe that looking at this chart right here, the FTA should be this area right here, okay? Because you have candle closes right here, and then you have wicks testing that area. So what happens if we select FTA right here? We'll see the first take profit will most likely, hopefully if everything is correct, move down towards this area. There you go. That's now the FTA of this trade right here. And that means you take some profits right here, and then you move stops to entry. So right here on the market entry of that one right here, TP1 or the FTA is 0.77. So as you can see, there's a lot of different ways you can play around with this. Maybe you only want 1 TP at the FTA, which I personally like and I personally recommend. Then you remove all the extra TPs and you only select use FTA as your TP1 like that. And then the stop loss can be optimizable to be either based on the fibs or based on the ATR, or based on a combination of the ATR and the fibs. So if we put the stop loss based on the fibs, this is great for swing trading because then you have lots of room for error. If you place it based on the fib, then the stop loss should be below the 0.786, all the way below the reload zone. So if you're looking for entries inside the reload zone, then what you want to do is you want to have that fib below the reload zone. So again, highly customizable indicator here with a full course that goes with it, with different trading styles that you can use. And here you have the stop loss level based on fib, and I can change the ATR length for the stop loss, and then minimum risk to reward of a trade, which means that if the setup has a lower risk to reward than you set right here, then the text here will turn red, go from green to red, and there will not be any alerts for this trade. So you will not get alerts on this signal if it's red. Now, if I put this to 0.5, you will see that one of them will most likely be red, and the other one will be green and the other one red, which means that, okay, entering on the retest of the 50, that's okay, but market entering is not okay. That will not be profitable. And there's a lot of different ways you can do here. You can play around with the placement of the fib, right? Because the placement of the fib happens automatically whenever there's a signal. You can also select different strength of the signals. I have 2 different signals. One is a strong signal and one is a normal signal. I do recommend the strong signals because they are the best signals. But again, the reason I did this was because I want people getting this indicator to have value for what they're getting, and I want them to be able to customize this and create their own unique strategy based on this strategy. And then of course we play around with some of the interest signals here. We can play around, do we want to use pin bars, or do we want to use engulfing candles, or do we want to use pin bars and engulfing candles? And then we can select, are we going to use pin bars that are according to the trend or not? Are we going to use engulfings that are according to the trend or not? Or are we going to use only big engulfing candles? And then also we have momentum signals, which is like a secret, that's kind of like the secret sauce of the indicators. So I can't go into detail on what that does, but the momentum signals are a very big part of this, and that's why I quite honestly don't want to share all the details of this, but I'm trying to be as transparent as possible here to help you guys adjust the indicator to your liking. And then a very cool thing that we have right here is the stochastic RSI filter. So this indicator has a built-in stochastic RSI. So you see, I always had a stochastic RSI on my chart, but you don't need it. This is the cool thing. You can go in here and I can select only give me signals if stochastics is in the right area. Okay, so if I open up stochastic RSI here, you will see that I've set it, the stochastic RSI filter, I've set that to 70. So only, actually, I've put it in reverse. You can see it says lower stochastic RSI, and this is something I've done personally because I'm playing around with it. This means that stochastic RSI will always give me a signal if it's like above 50 or below. But you can change this, and you can also require a stochastic RSI crossover before giving you a signal, which means that there has to be a bull cross prior to the signal forming for there to be a signal, basically removing a lot of false signal. And we can also add higher time frame EMA to the indicator to make sure that you see where the daily EMAs are. So now that we've added those, they're loading. Should come up as dotted lines on the chart here. So you see right here, now we have two dotted lines. It's these ones right here. One, that's the daily 50, and here's the daily 20 EMA. The reason why I have these on is because now, whatever time frame you're looking at, you're always going to know where the daily 20 EMA is. So here, for example, you see that the daily 20 EMA is right here. Again, it's black. I don't know why. But that's the daily 20 EMA right here. And what do we have a confluence here? We have the FTA. So if you select between the FTA or the 0% fib for TP, obviously you're going to be selecting the daily 20 EMA. And not only do we have that, we also included into the indicator, we included monthly and open, the weekly and monthly open into the indicators. You always get to know where the weekly and monthly open levels are as well. And now let's take a look at a couple of signals where I actually have a really good example of GBP NCD. Now this works on the Forex market, and in Bitcoin it works on pretty much all time frames, but I've found that it works great on like the 4 hour and the 1 hour. But I've also had success on the lower time frames with this as well. So we can look at this, and we have right here, this area here is obviously a range. Why is it always white? That's weird. It shouldn't be white now. Okay, it shouldn't be black now. Okay. So here we have a range. Now, obviously, this range is not really a trending market. You can see that the EMAs comes from above, price kind of moves around, and it's crisscrossing the EMAs like this. Now, it is possible to get rid of these signals, but then again, you might not get some of these signals, but this is a range. And you need to be able to identify a range in a trending market. But here's clearly a range. You might have been able to get an entry here. I would say that it's still a range, but it's also a break and retest of a horizontal level right here. So you get a break and a retest, and there's a short signal right there. And if you market enter on that one with the stop loss right above the wick, and then you TP at your FTA, it's still a slightly below 1 hour trade, and that's still a winning trade. So you are able to get into these trades even though you are in a range if traded correctly. But the real good signals come when there's more of stronger, bigger moves. So this is on the 1 hour. So that's the breakout above that range. So now we're going to get our first signal right here. Now let's look at that one, because that's our first signal. Now I know that this is going to be a losing trade, but it's still a good example of a signal, because you can see that you have a level right here, and then price breaks the level, retest the level, the retest the conflict with the reload zone, and then you're expecting price to move higher. Now this, of course, will stop you out right there. So if you're back testing this, you would say that, yeah, okay, I'm in a 1 hour one are lost. But now the interesting thing's happening. The good signals, they print on like the obvious break and retests. So here we can start adding a level. Now you see this. This to me is quite obvious break and retest. Okay, so I'm not sure where the TP is all the way down here. This is probably a mistake. But you look at that short signal right here. You might just have entered on the close of that candle, stop loss above the level, and then TP at that level right there. And you see, very simple trade that one. And then the next one, you
would have hit
see,
your take profit there on the
yeah,
green one.
it does actually hit that take profit. So this is a good example of where you can easily extend this, because it is a trend following indicator. So it does give you very good entries on possible upcoming trends. And same thing with this one. This is the signal that I took a trade on this morning. Now it should be a signal. Yeah, that's a signal right there. So I did enter market here. This was the trade I took this morning. And as you can see, it went straight up to, well, not straight up, but towards that TP. And now it has to load, but getting closer to that TP right there. And what's interesting here is you have the weekly open right here. So that's the weekly open. You can go to the 4 hour, I can go to the 4 hour. And what do we see on the 4 hour? We see a bullish engulfing candle, and we also should have the moving averages right here as well. The reason why this is not a signal is because the 20 EMA is below the 50. But here you have some confluence between the 1 hour and the 4 hour. So it's pretty cool to go back and forth with through the time frames. And this is all on one indicator. You have everything that you have here on the chart is from this specific indicator. And yeah, so personally very happy with this indicator and the way it's been developed.
I think calling it an indicator actually is a little bit too less. For me, it's like a whole full-blown trading suite, in my opinion, because it offers, first of all, it's highly customizable. And second of all, you can play around with take profit zones, with stop loss zones. And, you don't need to use like 3, 4, 5, or 10 tools that you normally would use something like this. And most important, what Jonathan said, I think it's like really a good addition to the market equilibrium indicator, because my indicator, more a contrarian indicator, works very well in ranging markets, whereas this one, of course, is perfectly designed for trending markets. I wonder what would happen actually if we put them together to kind of see if mine can be exit signals.
Yeah, I kind of looked into it, and I think instead of putting it together to create a combination of signals, I think what your indicator gives more signals than mine. And if you learn to trade both indicators, then you'll have basically two trading systems, and you'll be able to take swing trades with the Slingshot indicator, and then with the market equilibrium indicator, you'll be able to do scalping. So it's kind of like the best of two worlds. I think for me, I've always had this idea that I want to be trading. I want to be swing trading, where I spend, basically just a couple of minutes every day just managing my positions and looking at signals. And then the other time that I'm available, I'm looking at the lower time frames. And I think in this case, then the market equilibrium indicator is a perfect, perfect example of that.
Nice, yeah. I mean, same for me. I'm mainly in long-term trades, like long-term option trades, which usually last like 2 to 3 months, depending on volatility. And there, like mostly every Monday morning, I have to do a little bit of spot hedging to minimize the risk of those option positions. And the rest, I have like plenty of time still available, which of course is filled also with other projects or doing stuff for YouTube, creating content. But I'm really thinking at the moment, spending like at least like 1 or hopefully 1.5 full days every week, to trade with both strategies. Because I notice you really need to dedicate some time. You cannot do it like in between, I got a signal, I quickly do something on my mobile phone. Because like you also introduced with your Slingshot indicator here, you need to always take the additional step to see like where in what market structure does the signal currently appear. Does it make sense, or is it not worth the risk?
Yeah, so it's very important to understand the fundamentals of TA. Like you said, you have to understand that there's no holy grail in trading. There's no one indicator that will solve all your problems, but there is indicators that can help you really improve your trading. And one thing that this indicator has really helped me with is if I go here and press these three dots, I can go in and I can click add alerts. So if I click add alerts, I have we can add strong or just the regular long or short, but I always go with the strong because that's the best ones. And then I have here, I have we can change these. And now if you know how indicator alerts work, you can easily change this. So what you'll get here is a message with long signal on whatever exchange and whatever ticker you're looking at. And then it gives you the entry price, the TP areas, and the stop loss, as well as the risk to reward. And you can customize this however you want. And then you can, of course, if you go to notifications, you can click in a webhook URL here, and then you can send it to wherever you want. So the way I use this is I use it as a sort of a market scanner. So I get whenever there's a 4-hour signal. So if you go to the 4-hour, you see there's different signals here, obviously. And well, if it ever going to load, yeah. So you see here on the 4-hour example, that's we're in the range here, not really the best signals, but then you have that long signal before this huge move to the upside, and I get all of these signals into a private channel basically. So yeah, I think that's also a really cool feature with the alerts that you can add on this.
Yeah, that's something I highly recommend anyway to do always. Like you said, like kind of an alert function, which I'm using too here. For example, for Bitcoin and all the other signals, I have like alerts set up here. So whenever those signals print, and maybe I'm not on the screen, first of all, I get an audible notification. There's a sound being played. If I'm currently in front of my desktop like I'm right now, so I get notified by audio. And then second of all, we can look here. You can, like Jonathan just said, you can customize here what condition is for example, may sell or buy signal, how often you want the signal to appear. For me, it's once per bar close. So it's checking on every close of a bar, is there a signal currently? And if a signal, I get notified also, for example, in the app. Or you can set up, like you just said, a webhook URL, send it to a Telegram channel, all kinds of cool stuff you can really customize there. And that way, at least, I'm always, if I'm not sleeping, that is, of course, but I'm always aware when something is happening, when there is something basically saying, hey, there's something happening currently, I don't know, on Bitcoin or whatever I applied it to. Have a look at the chart, have a look, is this, in your opinion, a signal in a zone of confluence where it makes sense to trade it with a good risk-reward ratio, or is this a nonsense signal, so to say, or just I would go as far as saying like just an average signal, which also you don't want to trade average. You want to trade high-quality signals.
Yeah.
Be really disciplined. It's better to make 2 trades a week, which you did with a high level of confidence, than doing 100 trades a week where you're basically just blindly following any indicator and end up just guessing and not really knowing what you're doing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. As we said before, you'll find links to both indicators in the description of this video. I highly recommend to really try out Jonathan's RLZ Slingshot indicator, not only because, like you just saw, it's a full-blown trading strategy solution, but I think it's also very decent priced, I must say, for what it offers. And like Jonathan just said, you get also a great support, and I think like a course also how to use it, you said earlier, right?
Yeah.
So you don't find that very often, in my opinion. Usually the indicators I see out there, they give you the indicator, but don't really tell you how to use it. Looks fancy, but doesn't do anything by the end of the day. All right, shall we have maybe as a final thing today, look at what's currently going on with Bitcoin?
Yeah, let's.
I'll hand that. That's one thing I just remember I wanted to say, because that was a question I got this week, and I talked about yesterday at Tradelicious already, but I want to recap on this here, because I got asked the question, okay, apart from using your indicator or any indicator for that matter, if I want to trade altcoins, how do I select the altcoins that are worth trading? And I think that's a good question. With those thousands and thousands of coins out there, which ones are really the ones worth trading? And what I usually do is, and this is really a quick fix, but it's a powerful fix, is so when I, for example, go here, at least I like to do that, on CoinMarketCap, I go to trending because I want to find out which are the altcoins usually, that get a lot of media coverage or coverage on social media. You'll find also here Bitcoin and on spot number one is. But then I see something like this, VAR IoT, or however it's pronounced, or Neuro Ethereum or Sun. And for me, the first criteria here always is I want to look at the 24-hour trading volume. And on something like the number 2 here that is trending at the moment, I see it has a trading volume of $3.7 million in 24 hours. The other one here, $20 million. Now that sounds actually like quite a nice amount of money, like 3.7 million. Well, that's a lot of money, but you have to see it's spreading out over many exchanges. It's spreading out over 24 hours. And it means by the end of the day, usually if there is somebody that places like larger orders, and 50,000, 100,000 are enough for that already, they are going to manipulate the price heavily. And whenever, especially if you're using price action, if you're using indicators for trading, you don't want your price data to be messed up. So you need coins that have a decent trading volume. For me, the threshold really is here, look for coins that at least have $1 billion of trading volume within 24 hours. Plus, look at your exchange, for example. We can, for example, let's take maybe Popcat here, as an example here. Look at the order book of your exchange, and kind of simulate what would happen if I place a 10K order market right now. Okay, for this one, you would pretty much get the first 4 sell orders filled here. If you notice, like my market order would already like empty the order book on one side, then refrain from trading an altcoin like this. These are not good for trading strategies like we do here, and they are prone for so-called pump and dump schemes, which we see very often, where a coin is hyped, then it goes onto an exchange, and then the price drops because the ones that pre-mined the coins, the influencers that got the coin beforehand, before you could buy it, actually, they are dumping their coins then and taking out their profits. So be very careful with this. My threshold is $1 billion per 24 hours. That is a decent trading volume, but also make sure to look here at the order book. And one thing I like, for example, here about WeX is that they also show you what is their price source. You're not just seeing the orders directly on WeX, but you see here, okay, they're getting from MaxC and Gate.io, I think it is, also priced fees, which is something you rarely see. Normally, exchanges are very, very not happy to share information like this. So it's nice to see an exchange that is actually very transparent about this. That being said, tell us something that we don't know about Bitcoin currently. Jonathan. You're muted.
Okay, something we don't know about Bitcoin. Yeah, so something we don't know about Bitcoin. It's not going to go down, but we knew that. I guess we knew that. So, okay, Bitcoin. I'm still looking at this. This is.
That's why I said, like, actually, it's pretty much like what we talked about last week at the moment.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's very still around this area. Let me see if I can adjust. Actually, let's add the. Oh, look at that!
Nice confluence, huh?
Yeah. So I guess, but what I don't like here is there's just so many levels. It's a bit crowded. But let's see if I can adjust this a little bit with local price action, like with the recent. No, I think this is the level that I want to see. Maybe even on the daily, we can look at that level. That would be like the middle of that level. Yeah, I think a break and retest of this. I think we're actually approaching the level that I want to see a break and retest of. So a move above, put an alert. Actually, I think I need an alert up here, but I might actually enter down here. So could be something like this. Is what I would be watching for a long on Bitcoin, and then I probably want to TP around that level. I think this will be my trade on Bitcoin. I've been waiting since the beginning of August for this trade right here, so definitely waiting a long time. So if my TP is up here, then my stop loss, I think I need. And this is a swing trade. No, actually, I think this would be my trade for Bitcoin. But you know what? That is also the first TP, so that's the FTA right there. It depends, either that TP or that TP, depending on what price action does. When it actually breaks this area and gets the retest. But this is the general idea that I'm watching on Bitcoin for the short-term future. You move above, reclaim, and then continuation to the upside. We are still seeing this like downwards trending channel here. I don't think this is a indication that Bitcoin is like bearish or anything. I still view this as a range with bearish characteristics.
Yeah, I called it this week on my video. I called it like a mini bearish market.
Yeah, something like that. I have a feeling that it's just a range with a feeling of overall bearishness, but then you zoom out to the weekly and you could watch it as accumulation, reaccumulation, hopefully not distribution, but you never know. Like this could be a distribution range at the highs as well. So we never know. We never know with what's going to happen with the market. But I have no clear reason to believe that Bitcoin is going to break any significant levels to the downside. So what are you looking for in terms of Bitcoin in the next few few weeks?
Well, I mean, I'm like on the shorter time frame, I'm completely on your side. For me, also, like I said, I did a video especially about this also this week. We have this mini bearish structure at the moment, which in my opinion is also completely normal. If you look at the chart that I'm having behind me, the logarithmic long-term regression, you'll find structures within a bull market like this over and over again. I can remember 2019, for example, we had almost the exact same looking structure there. Like short time frame, I think we could still, actually we could still, let's put it like this. I think two scenarios are the most likely at the moment. Either we are going to continue for a while this game of going down to 58, going up to 61, and we have plenty of phases too, where suddenly volatility kind of goes onto to very low levels. You'll get these memes again where somebody's poking Bitcoin with a stick, like, come on, do something on social media. This is actually my preferred scenario because September, historically speaking, and I think I talked about this last week as well, is not a good month. It's actually the worst month for Bitcoin. On average, we see a negative performance of minus 4.8% here for Bitcoin. October, November, then the best months coming up, which also is in line with what I said about the long-term trend of Bitcoin, where I said earliest late October, beginning of November, we could see slowly the bull market frenzy to take place. So it's going to be a little bit a waiting game, so to say, where either we see something like this, or that is also a possibility we might see like this another leg down to test like these lower lows. I'm not counting the wicks here to get an overview of a trend, but maybe something where we test again 50,000, potentially 48,000 or something like this. And then slowly during October, November, things will progress to the upside. I actually think, although I don't want the scenario. I don't want Bitcoin to go down. I want Bitcoin to go up or sideways, at least for September. But we have to be prepared. And it kind of makes sense first of all, looking at this historic data, that September is not such a good month to see a final leg down that really shakes out the people. We already have at these levels now a fear and greed index of, I think, 22 or 26 was the last reading. So we are in a general mood of fear, which is insane. You know, trading at 61,000 US dollars, people are afraid.
Yeah.
that is really insane. But this is how fast the market sentiment can change, you know.
Yeah.
And I bet like this, if a final shakeout down to 50 or 48K again, that would really break, you know, a lot of optimistic opinions out there, and it would be typical then to see the turnaround to the upside again. We've seen that over and over again, but like I said just now, I of course I don't have a crystal ball here on my desk. I wish I had, so I could share that information with you. These are the most likely scenarios. Of course, the bull in me would like to see something like you know, a breakout here over 71,000, so a higher high than the one we had last time here, which would indicate then, okay, we have a break in structure of this slightly downtrending mini bear market at the moment, and are probably going to enter a new market structure, which could be a sideways market or the return of a bull market. So I think like the upcoming weeks, in a nutshell, are really going to test a bit our patience there. And it could either be like super boring, you know, just sideways, not much trading action, then people are going to give their attention to other things again. Yeah, you'll probably hear people more speaking then about meme coins. I saw something on social media again for some stupid meme coin being posted. Oh, this guy put in $100, which is worth 20 million now in meme coin X, which is, you know, like, I always hate reading stuff like this because it puts the wrong expectations in the heads of people, especially in the heads of people that are new in the crypto markets, when in reality, the wise thing to do probably is, if that next swing down is really there, we see prices of 50K, you can be sure that I'm going to buy again. I'm going to be one of the first people to buy, and I'm going to be very transparent, as always, on YouTube and Twitter about this. And yeah, or we're going to have this boring sideways range, which I would kind of enjoy because it gives you a little bit of room to breathe and to prepare what is probably going to become a super bull market, as I said, earliest late October, beginning of November of 2024, latest February of 2025. I hope, of course, not the latest, because that would put us in a situation where we need even more patience. The one thing that is good, in my opinion, is, and I think tonight we're probably going to get more information about this, it really looks like the Fed is going to lower interest rates. I mean, we had this revision of the job data, which was like insane. You know, it's like I don't know the details, but when I read it, I thought like, do they know like on a statistical level what they are doing at all there, or are those just all made up numbers?
Yeah,
so in a nutshell, I think the data was much worse than they broadcasted. No.
Yeah, like almost 1 million jobs. That, you know, almost 1 million jobs wrong. You know,
that is insane. But nonetheless, it was kind of celebrated by the markets. We've seen stock markets running. We've seen euro dollar also trading above 110, which it has been trying to do for a long time now, but didn't succeed. And I think it's over 111 actually at the moment. And
yeah, I mean, I guess people because now that they think that the US job market is weaker, I guess people believe that they're going to cut rates faster, you know, and
that's what the Fed has been saying, you know, for a year now. We want the job market to become weaker, so we have a justification to lower interest rates again, and it's there now. So it's very likely that the cycle's beginning.
And I guess that lowering interest rates will, in the long run, help the job market, you know? Yeah. So a lower job market now means that the economy is doing bad because, you know, the job market is bad now because the interest rates are higher, the cost of living is higher. And, you know, I saw a graph of the actual cost of living, you know, not the people, you know, but people talk like, oh, inflation is just, it's just, you know, inflation is 2% or whatever. It's like, what do you mean inflation is 2%? It's gone up like prices. Some things in the grocery store has gone up like 100%. So what do you mean 2%? But they measure it year to year,
Yeah.
So yeah, inflation has gone up 2% a year, from a year ago. Let's say
on top
1
of the
year.
9% we saw there before. Yeah.
Exactly. And what happens when you compound percentage and percentage and percentage? Well, you're quickly going to get to a very high number.
Yeah. Exactly, that is what is happening there. On top of that, you probably also experience that when you go to the supermarket, that it seems like the price has not changed much to the upside of a good, but in reality, we have something like shrinkflation, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Where formerly you got like 100 grams of that product, now it's just 95 or 90 grams, and
Yeah,
the package
I
size
think
is still the same.
Yeah, I mean, coffee is a really good example of that.
Yeah.
We used to have 500 grams coffee packages. Like it was always 500 grams. And there's still 500 grams packages out there, but now you start seeing 400, and I've even seen like 350. So it's like it's the same price, but instead of selling a 500 grams coffee, they're selling it for 400 grams, same price. And people look at the price and say, well, the coffee is the same price. But then, of course, I don't know, like in Sweden, at least we can compare the price in kilos.
Yeah,
and I think that's also in Germany as well. And, that's the price you should be looking at. And when you look at that, you start realizing, holy shit, coffee is expensive, really, really expensive.
Yeah, and it's everything, like same with cheese, for example, which is insane. Yeah. Like and rent, not to mention rent in the area of Berlin here, it's insane. Yeah. Like if you want to rent out a house. Yeah, last maybe here, I want to have quickly show this metric here. So that is from the CME group, the target rate probabilities, I think they call it, for the next Fed meeting, which is on 18th of September. So 75.5% are expecting that the target rate, the interest rates are lowered by 0.25% or 25 basis point, it's called. You have like some people actually expecting that they are lowering it by 50 basis points, which would be amazing because it's going to be very good for the market. Of course, on the same side, it also means when the Fed is lowering interest rates, something is not good in the economy. Otherwise, they wouldn't need to do that. So there's always another side to the positive side of the coin here, obviously. But that being still quite a number of days in the future, so we're still talking here about 26 days until we have that. So we really need probably to play this game of patience until we see a significant move onto the markets. However, I see like this afternoon, the Fed chairman, Jerome Powell, is speaking also at 4 p.m. CET. So let's see how that is going to move the markets. Be aware if you're trading there that you could potentially see, depending on what he's saying there, some weird moves on the markets where also no indicator will help you, when there's really super much volatility suddenly and they're like giving too much measure to every single word he's saying. Things can go very quickly, very crazy. If you're trading on the lower time frames, where my suggestion always is wait it out a bit. There's nothing wrong with standing at the sidelines and wait until price action becomes a little bit normal again. This is my indicator should be able to handle this. So this is part of the algorithmic logic behind the indicator in phases like this to have filters applied automatically. However, that also sometimes reality just catches up. I cannot, of course, take into account everything that could happen on the market. So be a little bit careful there. Yeah, that's it from my side. Jonathan, thanks for doing this again with me. Let's see, maybe next week we should stream on your channel and then we'll copy it onto my channel like you were doing today, and then we can alternate always. As always, guys, leave us a like, subscribe to the channel. We know what we are doing, but we are still rather small YouTubers compared to others here, and that way you can help us greatly to spread the word a little bit about how to trade and how to realistically trade and how to realistically expect an outcome from your trade and not hunt the next big thing that supposedly is going to make you rich, which probably it isn't going to do. Take care, everybody, and see you latest next week. Bye-bye.